Okay, so imagine this. You're in a country so dry it has exactly 0 permanent rivers. None. Now what if that same country just decided to build one from scratch? Well, that's the incredible story we're diving into today. Saudi Arabia's artificial river. It's a project that really pushes the limits of what's possible when survival is on the line. And this really gets to the heart of the problem. It's the paradox that Saudi Arabia has been facing for decades. You have a nation famous for its unbelievable oil wealth, but at the same time, it's struggling with a critical shortage of the one resource that matters most. And this number, well, it says it all, doesn't it? 0. That's how many natural, permanent rivers exist in the entire country. That makes it the largest nation on the entire planet without a single one. So how on earth does a kingdom literally built on sand even begin to tackle a water crisis like that? Well, for a long time, the answer was hidden deep, deep underground.
The geography here is just extreme. I mean, 98% desert. But here's the kicker. At the same time, the population has absolutely exploded. We're talking from just 3 million people back in 1950 to over 26 million today. All those people put an almost unbearable pressure on the water they had.
For decades, Saudi Arabia was relying on this sort of hidden water source. But there was a catch. It came with a ticking clock. And this was their go-to solution for a long time. It's called fossil water. It's this ancient water that took literally millennia to accumulate underground. And, you guessed it, it would take just as long to ever replenish, if it ever could.
This quote just nails it. Think about that for a second. For years, 70% of the kingdom's water came from this source that could not be renewed. It was a finite supply. Once it's gone, it is gone for good. So what happened? Well, it all started with a really good intention, a plan for food security. But the massive push to grow wheat right there in the desert had this devastating unintended consequence. It was draining those ancient aquifers at a truly alarming rate.
And these numbers right here show you just how unsustainable the whole situation had become. With agriculture gulping down 85% of the fossil water, the government had to make a really drastic choice. They had to halt the wheat program entirely, just to save what little water was left for emergencies.
So, faced with this massive crisis, Saudi Arabia did a complete 180. They stopped drilling down and turned to an unbelievably audacious plan. Literally building a river from scratch.
Get this. The planned length of this underground pipeline network is an astonishing 12,000 kilometers. This is a man-made river, designed to move fresh water all across the country, even pushing it uphill to mountains.
Now, to give you some perspective on that scale, this artificial river network, it's nearly twice the length of the Nile River. The Nile. It's a true feat of modern engineering that completely defies natural geography.
So you might be asking, where does all the water for this massive river even come from? Well, the first method is basically a giant high-tech kettle. It's called flash distillation, and it works by boiling unbelievable amounts of seawater to create fresh water on an absolutely industrial scale.
The other key technology is a bit more elegant. It's called reverse osmosis, and it's actually inspired by biology. Think of it like a microscopic filter. The pores are so tiny that only pure water molecules can squeeze through, leaving all the salt, minerals, and everything else behind.
So today, these two technologies, the whole process is called desalination. They provide a remarkable 66% of all the water that's consumed in Saudi Arabia. This is the source. This is what feeds that massive artificial river.
But, and you knew there had to be a but, right? Creating billions of liters of fresh water every single day, that doesn't happen without a pretty serious environmental cost. Every single day, the project pumps out a staggering 9.4 billion liters of fresh water.
But that same process creates a massive byproduct, 329,000 tons of concentrated salt waste, also known as brine.
Okay, to put that number in perspective for you, that daily salt waste weighs the same as 1,645 blue whales, the heaviest animal on Earth. And that's happening every single day.
And this super salty brine poses a direct and very severe threat. When it gets pumped back into the ocean, it raises the local temperature and the salinity, creating these awful dead zones that can completely destroy fragile ecosystems, like the Red Sea's beautiful and precious coral reefs.
So what's the solution to this huge, salty problem? I mean, how can the kingdom secure its water future without wrecking its marine environment in the process?
Well, engineers are already developing solutions, and they're not just trying to lessen the environmental damage, they're looking at ways to actually create value from it. They're exploring systems to disperse the brine more safely, and even this amazing idea of brine mining to pull out valuable minerals.
You know, this entire endeavor, from those Guinness World Record-holding pipelines all the way to their plan to host the World Water Forum in 2027, it's a powerful message to the entire world about what is possible.
Saudi Arabia is, right now, engineering a future that's completely independent of its natural climate. It is a bold, ambitious gamble. And it leaves all of us with a really critical question. Can technology truly conquer geography? And if it can, what is the ultimate price of reshaping our planet?